Welcome to the Lean Podcast, where empowerment and alignment come together. I'm your host, Mahogany, here to guide you through inspiring stories of resilience, overcoming grief, health challenges, career struggles, and more. Together, we'll lean into strength, embrace growth, and discover the power of sharing experiences. Before we dive into today's episode, I'd like to start with a prayer. If you feel comfortable, I invite you to join me. Dear God, thank you for this space to uplift, inspire, and empower. Bless the woman sharing her story today and those who are listening. May this podcast be a source of hope, healing, and alignment with your purpose for our lives. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
All right, you guys. So today we have with us Miss Kelly Payne, real estate investor, mom of two, dominating the game while passing down generational wealth and generational knowledge when it comes to real estate. Help me welcome Kelly.
Thank you. Happy to be here. Appreciate you having me.
Thank you so much for being on, Kelly. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm a mother to two boys. They're 19 and 20. My 20-year-old is currently in Japan right now, studying for his Japanese fluency exam, second time there. He's just got his real estate license. And then I have a 19-year-old too. He works for both of my businesses. So I have a business in Oregon, and then I do real estate investing, and he's doing real estate investing right alongside me. So I work from home. And that's a little bit about me in a very brief nutshell.
Wow. I know I see you on social media so often with your boys, teaching them the ropes of real estate and doing this while battling your own life challenges that come up as well. So you're so inspiring, and I love to see you pushing and making sure every day that you live counts.
Thank you.
It's so amazing to see. So I know we see the glamorous side of Kelly Payne, and I know you're very transparent with a lot of us on a private note. However, you're here today because you do want to share a bit about the things that you've been faced with and how you've overcome those battles. So tell us a little bit about your story.
Oh gosh. Yeah, well, my life has been very challenging, and from the get-go, really. And if I had the opportunity to hit the rewind button, do it over again, I wouldn't, because all of the challenges that I faced in my life since I was 13 years old, and I'm 47 now, it's been a rough, bumpy ride, but wouldn't change it because it's made me the strong woman who I am now. And it has a domino effect. So it's helped both of my boys become stronger men, and it helps my nieces and nephews as well to see that I push through all of my challenges. So makes them strong. I just had a phone conversation with one of my nieces in Utah today, and she's struggling with something with school, and we had a conversation. I'm like, nope, you had your time to cry. It's time to pull your big girl pants up and let's figure this out. Let's move forward. Let's create an action plan, a game plan to move forward and get past this. So it really started when I was, gosh, how old was I? 12, 13. My parents got divorced in Utah. Myself and my siblings got separated for all of our youth. When we moved up to Washington, we were homeless. We were couch surfing a lot. My mom was one marriage after another, one boyfriend after another. I had to get a full-time job at 15 years old so that I could help pay for groceries and my sister's school clothes. And there were a few times we did happen to have a rental house, I had to help pay the utilities and grocery bills. And I would help with, lights and heat. Lots of times we didn't have light or heat. We couldn't afford it. We had to go stand in a welfare line for food with homeless people. This was in Olympia. So that's was my youth growing up. It was a struggle, but again, I wouldn't change it because I think that prepared me for the challenges that I faced later on in life. I did go through a divorce in 2008 when my boys were 2 and 3. I was a stay-at-home mom, so I had to figure out what to do. I was working with foster kids at the time, making $8 an hour and working part-time. So I had to sell off all my furniture to pay for groceries, and it was a real struggle. And I'd always promised myself, I said I would not be in my mom's shoes. I would do better than her. And I found myself all of a sudden, I'm like, oh, shoot, I'm actually in my mom's shoes right now. I'm like, oh, this can't happen. What do I do? I decided to start a business so that I could basically be paid to be a stay-at-home mom. So that's what I did. It took me a while to get the business up and running. But I did in 2008, and things were going really wonderful. Had my own business, but I found myself working a lot with my clients, and that was taking time away from my boys, which defeated the purpose of, owning my own business. I'm like, okay, what do I do with this problem? Well, hire employees. So hired a bunch of employees so that I could stay home, raise my boys. And so that's what I'm still doing right now. So I started that in 2008. We're in 2024 now, almost 25, and still running the same business. So that was really great. Things were moving along, and fast forward to 2021, I started having these really severe health challenges. Out of the blue, I was at my son's dentist appointment, and I left the room. I fell off. Next thing I know, I wake up and I'm on a chair, and they told me I had a seizure. I'm like, excuse you, what? I don't have seizures. You're mistaken. They're like, no, it was a seizure. They went on to describe what it was like. And long story short, so yeah, turns out I now have seizures, and I've had them for 2.5 years. So that's been a real huge challenge for me because I used to be a pilot. I used to skydive. I used to kayak. I used to jump in my car and go get lost. I would go drive in the mountains, get lost to go hike random places by myself. And I can't drive anymore. There's a lot of things I can't do anymore. So that kicked my butt above everything. That has been the hardest challenge because I'm a very strong, independent woman. I don't like being told no. I like proving people wrong. Somebody tells me no, I'm like, oh yeah, watch this. And all of a sudden I found myself like, oh, wait, I can't do all these things. And I tell you what, it kicked my butt big time for a year and a half. I was crying more than I've ever cried in my life. And I'm like, what do I do here? So it got to the point where I'm like, I need to figure something else out because this isn't sitting well with me, and I didn't want to be a nuisance or a burden to anybody else in my life. And so I found a book called The Gap and Gain. Have you heard of that before?
Yes, I have read that book. I have it on
Yeah,
audiobook. I've read it and listened to it.
love that book. Me too. Yep, I have the book on my bookshelf over here. I've read it. Or excuse me, listened to it, but it's an amazing book. And that book is what truly got me out of my funk because it teaches you to, as the title says, live in the gain and not the gap. Don't live in the poor me. And I had a bad day. This bad thing happened to me. That bad thing happened to me. It's take your a bad day that you had, like, okay, that absolutely sucked. I hate it today. What's the good that came from the suck? I like to say, embrace the suck. So my worst days, I can have a seizure and be out of commission for anywhere from 24 to 72 hours. Like I can hardly move. I can't run my businesses. I can't do anything. Can't even hardly eat anything. And I will lay there in bed like, okay, this sucks. What's the good that came from this? Maybe I was able to watch a good documentary on TV that taught me something new. Maybe I got to spend some more quality time with my boys, or maybe it's just I laid there in my bed and it's fall time, saw some beautiful fall leaves blow past my window. So it's finding the good in the suck. Sometimes that can be hard to do. Sometimes I'll have to think really, really hard, but I force myself to do that before I go to bed at night, or if I'm feeling in a funk, I have to think about 10 things that I'm grateful for, not in general, but for that specific day. And when I start going down that track, I'm like, oh, okay, my life isn't so bad. I have a roof over my head. I have food in my belly. I have a wonderful family. I still have use of my eyes. I can talk. I can hear. I can walk. It sucks that seizures take me out of commission, but I focus on the positive. And so that book has been just a night and day difference for me. And it rubs off, like I said, on other people too. I have a lot of people that I coach that get down, get in a funk for whatever reason. And I feel so empowered now that I went through this. And I believe that God put me through this heartache, these trials, these tribulations for a specific reason. And maybe that's to be here now. Maybe it's to be here today with you. So I think I can help inspire other people and create that domino effect down the line.
Wow, that's so beautiful. Embrace the suck. That just might be the title of your episode.
There you go.
I'll check in on you, Kelly, and see how you're doing, and you'll tell me the reality. I'm facing this, this, and this. I've had a seizure this whole week. This is what's going on. But I'm doing amazing because I'm alive and I still have breath in my lungs, and it's going to be a good day. And I think that's such a powerful message that you can share with anybody you talk to, because that holds a lot of weight. So
Absolutely.
take us back to when you're in your son's appointment and you had your first seizure and you wake up and you were like, whoa, what happened? I had a seizure. Like, what were the initial thoughts you had when you were finding out this is a reality you might be stuck with for a while?
Well, when I was back in the exam room, I'd been back there with him for a couple hours and something wasn't feeling right. I'm like, I got to walk out. He was getting his molars removed. So I walk out of the room just feeling off. From that point, I don't remember anything. So after I woke up in a chair. I remember I was wearing a dress that day. So I woke up, my legs were straight out, stiff as a board right in front of me. And just looking up, and a doctor was fanning my face. And she's like, you okay? You okay? You came back. You're good. You had a seizure. And I was just so confused. I remember being nervous because I was wearing a skirt and I'm in this chair. I'm like, oh, am I covered up? What happened? Did I fall down? I'm like adamant. I'm like, you're wrong. You're absolutely wrong. I don't have seizures. Never had a seizure in my life. And she was she's a doctor. Granted, it's in a dentist's office, but she was like 100% you had a seizure. So I had to, they brought me back in a room and I was there for probably another hour or two. They gave me some grape juice, I think, and crackers. And I'm like, I'm okay. I can make it home. I got in my car. I drove home, which is a 6-minute drive. And I just felt confused driving home. I'm like, how do I get home? I know the road's like the back of my hand. And I was just off and confused. Didn't know where I was. And anyways, I called my doctors when I got home and they're like, oh, you need to get to the emergency room right now. Me, I have the attitude. I'm like, I got this. I'm fine. This is a one-off. I'll be good tomorrow. Well, tomorrow hasn't come yet. It's been 2.5 years. So I'm basically a medical mystery. Doctors don't know what's going on with me. On top of the seizures, my spine is dissolving. I have degenerative disc disease and I had back surgery in 2016. So I had to use a walker for a couple months. And the doctor said over my lifetime that my vertebrae is just going to move up the spine. It's going to dissolve one after another. Well, it is. It's moving up my spine. And not only that, but it's affecting my skull and my ear bones. So my ear bones are dissolving. I have a spot in my skull where the skull's dissolving too. So again, it's a medical mystery. They don't know what's going on. They don't know how to fix me. So I'm like, okay, here we are again. Embrace the suck. I live my best days when I do have good days. I can go down like that. I can be talking to you right now and boom, I'm out of commission. I'll have to immediately jump off. So I never know when that's going to come. So when I'm good, like today's been a really great day. I've been able to work both businesses. I was able to work out and clean and get all this stuff done, spend time with my chickens and my dog and my son. So today's been a really good day and I love those great days. So I know today's super great. Tomorrow I could wake up, I have a seizure in my sleep and know that I'm going to have to chill out and not work. I will then reflect on today, like, okay, yesterday was awesome. Look at all these things I got accomplished today. So on my good days, I go 110 miles an hour and try to get everything done. Now, I say that while I'm going 110 miles an hour, it's very organized to 110 miles an hour. I have a routine that I do every single day so that I can stay on top of all my tasks. So when I wake up in the morning, I try to wake up at 6. I tried for a while at 5 and that
Wasn't working out.
no, that was a hard no-go. So I wake up at 6 in the morning, I make my bed immediately right off the bat, because if everything else falls apart or the rest of the day, at least I made my bed. At least I have that one single accomplishment that I can be like, okay, I made my bed today. I'm good. So I'll make my bed, get up. I have my big old water jug here that's on my nightstand. I drink my water and I do 15 minutes of stretching in the morning. I can't do hard working out like I used to. I used to be like you, Mahogany. I like a total gym rat. Going to the gym all the time. Had almost an 8-pack and I was ripped and can't do that anymore. So I do what I can and do my morning 15 minutes of stretching. And when I'm done with that, I do 8 minutes of meditation. And then I pull up the Headway app and I listen to something that's going to make me a better person. So whether that's a book about finances or taxes or running a business or being a great mom or being healthy, whatever it is, I find a book that's going to make me better somehow. While I'm listening to that audiobook, I'll take notes down in a notepad so that I can remember that. I'm done with that. I do some journaling. And afterwards, I'll go downstairs, refill my water. Then I come into my office. You can't see it now, but I have a big whiteboard off to the side here. On the very top of that whiteboard, I have written my top 3 goals for today. And I put the date down and I think about what are my top 3 goals for both of my businesses, or if I have a personal goal. I write those top 3 goals down. So again, I know if I can get these top 3 goals done, I'm doing amazing today. I've got so much accomplished. So that sets me up for success. So I will do all that stuff before I sit down at my computer and even open up my emails. And that's at 10 o'clock. I open up my emails. So I do a deep dive. I respond into all those emails. And then I do what's called a deep dive or deep work session. I will allocate 2 or 3 different 90-minute chunks of time for myself throughout the day to dedicate being like super hyper focused on those 3 goals that I listed on my whiteboard. So what that means is I turn off all distractions. I mute my phone. I turn it over so I can't see all the alerts that are popping up on my screen. And I deep dive into that project number 1 for the day. And my alarm goes off on my phone. I set it for 90 minutes. It goes off. I stop what I'm doing. I take a break. I go for a walk. I have lunch for 10, 15, 30 minutes. And then when I come back to it, I reset my alarm for another 90-minute deep work or deep dive session. So
wow.
long-winded answer to your question, but there you go.
Hey, I love the long-winded answers. That's amazing that you're able to keep such a routine and such a structure when you can. Health-wise.
Yes.
I think that's huge. I know a lot of us, we have things come up in life and we'll sometimes allow it to completely take us off our game. So the fact that you've kept that up is amazing. I'd like to hear a little bit more about how you've been able, mindset-wise, to keep a business afloat from 2008. I know that 2008 was a very hard time for many business owners. How have you always had this mindset, or was there a certain point in time where you developed the mindset you have now?
I've always been a very strong, determined person. So I would say I'm stronger now with the health issues, especially having kids. I have to be tough for my kids because I want them, they're like little sponges. If we get upset easily, or if we're happy all the time, or if we're hard workers, if we're lazy, they're going to see that, whatever it is, and emulate that, right? So I want my kids to be like, oh, my mom, she can get knocked on her butt, but she can get right back up again. It might take her a day or 2 or 3 days, but she will get back up and she'll come back stronger and harder than before. So, I remember going back to when I was, how old was I, 17 or 18 when I got my pilot's license. And I worked at Salt Lake International Airport at that time, the private aviation side where all the wealthy people, presidents flew in, movie stars, all that. And I just love airplanes. I still do to this day. I absolutely love flying. Everything about airplanes. I have airplane photos in the background here on my wall, but love every bit of it. And I remember somebody telling me one time that it was a lady. I worked at a garden center, and she told me I wouldn't make a good pilot. I'd never fly. I'll never get my license. Well, like I said before, I love it when people tell me I can't do something. That absolutely lights my fire. So when she told me I can't do it, I got my pilot's license like 6 months later. Um, so yeah, I guess, I mean, I've had to have that toughness about me growing up, being homeless and couch surfing and not knowing where my next meal is going to come from. Oh, I have a funny story about that. When I was 15, I'm vegetarian, but I worked at a place called Burger Master in Rochester, Washington. And I had to do that. I had to do full time, to help my mom pay the bills and all that. So many times I would come home from school and there's no food in the fridge, there's no heat, there's no electricity. So one day I was at work, I'm like, I'm so hungry. And I didn't know, I knew I was going to go home. There was going to be no food there. I hadn't eaten the whole entire day. And this is late at night. I don't know, maybe 8 or 9 at night. I'm not sure. Anyways, I remember thinking, I have to eat something and I have to steal something because I didn't have any money. All my money went to my mom. All went to my sister. I'm like, I feel bad. I feel so guilty about this for two reasons, because I stole. It was 2 chicken nuggets. I was walking by, they were frozen. I put them in my pocket, and it's the only food there that I could grab and eat really quick. I was too embarrassed to tell anybody, hey, I don't have any money. I haven't eaten all day. I don't know what I'm going to eat next. So I walked by the fryer. I threw them in the fryer real quick. I picked them back up. I put them in my pocket of my pants, and I went to the break room, and I sat there looking at those 2 chicken nuggets on my plate. I actually bawling, feeling so bad that I had to eat meat. And I prayed. I'm like, please forgive me for eating this chicken. So it's funny now, but I felt so guilty that I stole that food and that I was eating chicken because I've been vegetarian since I was 8 years old.
Wow.
So anyways, so yeah, to answer your question, I've always had that toughness, but nothing like having to go through what I've been through with these health struggles. And so that's been the biggest challenge of all. So
Wow. Yeah, that is a funny story. It's like funny, not funny. Like,
yeah.
you know, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
I know that sometimes we hear like God gives his hardest battles to his toughest soldiers. Like, do you believe that what you've been faced with is something like that? Or what do you make of the challenges you've had to go through health wise and even just financially growing up?
Yeah, absolutely. I full-heartedly believe that. God never gives us anything more than we can handle. Sometimes I'm like, are you sure, God? Are you sure you got the right person? Because yeah, like can't be. Because there are days still that completely and utterly knock me on my rear end. One of those days was it's a week ago today, actually. I had one seizure after another, after another, after another. And sometimes the seizures get so bad that I can't breathe at all. And so my chest will hurt for days afterwards because I hold my breath. I don't know why I'm holding my breath during the seizures, but I do. My body hurts from head to toe. So that was probably one of the most intense seizures, back-to-back seizures I've ever had since this began 2.5 years ago. So I remember I broke down the next day. I usually try not to cry, or if I do, it's like I cry for a little bit. And I'm like, okay, pull up your big girl pants. Let's move on with your day. But I did. I spent quite a bit of time that day crying, and I'm like, why me? Why me? And I'm like, whoa, stop. Stop with this. Why me? This isn't me. God has a plan for me. There's a plan, there's a purpose, there's a reason, and I have to embrace that. So I'm like, okay. Sometimes I'll find myself going to pray to please take the seizures away from me. I don't want to do this anymore. I've had my fun. I'm over it. Let's be done. But then I'll stop myself. I'm like, no, because I believe that I'm going through these health issues again for a specific reason. I don't know what it is right now. I might not ever know. Maybe I'll know when I die and I go meet God and we have a conversation about it, but I just have to embrace the fact that this is what I have and make the best of it. So I make the best of it by coaching other people and being there for them, getting them through the rough times, whatever they are in their life. Be like, okay, let's get you through this. I give them my background story about the suck that I've gone through for many, many years now. Like, and here's what I did to overcome it. Now let's focus on you and what you can do to overcome, get through, move on, move past what you're going through. And that fills my cup up, and it gives me hope and it gives me meaning to help other people. So I truly think that that's why I'm going through this, is to help other people.
I love it. I love it. Tell us a little bit more. I know this is not about your coaching, but share with us a little bit about your coaching and what you offer.
Sure. Well, it just happens to be random people that come into my life. I do coach people for real estate reasons, mindset, because it is tough doing real estate investing because it's off-market real estate investing. I buy ugly houses and I fix them up and turn them into beautiful homes. And I try to keep all those homes and turn them into rentals, but there's a couple that I will sell here and there. So when all the people that I coach, they're real estate investors too. So they're usually very beginning and they're like, oh my gosh, this is difficult. How do you do this? I have a full-time job. I have, a husband or wife at home. I have kids. I have all these things on my life. How do you do it? How do I do it? Where do I get started? And they just kind of let all this consume them, which is easy to do. That happened to me at first too. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm a CEO of a business. I have kids. I have all this stuff going on. How do I manage this? And I was able to figure it out. Not that I figured it out completely. Every day I learn something new. I'm always trying to learn and improve, right? So I just, chat with those people that are real estate investors about, hey, where are you stuck right now? Let's dive into that. Let's break that apart. Let's not just put a Band-Aid on and be like, you're okay, today sucks, you'll get over it. Let's think about tomorrow. I like to dig deep with them and find out what's the root cause, fix that problem over a period of time, whatever that takes, and then move forward one step at a time. And really, that's just about taking baby steps. As long as you're always moving forward, it doesn't matter if you took one baby step a day, as long as you're always taking that one step forward, at least you did something. Where people fail, where I've failed before in my life, is when I stop moving forward. Be like, I can't do this. It's too difficult. Your self-talk impacts you. What you say to yourself, your brain is listening, and it's like, oh, okay. If you're telling me this, then I believe it. This must be true. Your mind can't differentiate between what's false and what's true, what you're telling yourself. So if you're constantly telling yourself, this sucks, this is hard, I don't know how I'm going to do it, I'm stupid, guess what? Your brain's going to be like, okay, I'm stupid, I'm not smart enough, I'm not going to do this. So a lot of the coaching I do is about how you talk to yourself. You have to talk to yourself in a positive way, like you would talk to your friend. If my friend comes to me, if you come to me, Mahogany, and you're like, I'm struggling, this work thing today, I failed on this, report project, I made a boss man, whatever. It's like, I'm not going to say, oh, you're a loser, you suck, you're not going to make anything of yourself. I'm going to be like, oh, how can I support you? You don't suck. Look at all your accomplishments. Look at what you're doing right now. And so if I talk to my friends that way, encourage them, and I'm positive and upbeat and enlightening, why don't I talk to myself that way? And so I think that's where I've found for myself and a lot of the people I coach where they're falling behind. It's just that negative self-talk and not being gracious to themselves either, giving themselves the time to have a down day or a day that sucks. It's fine to have a day that sucks and be like, I'm going to sit home and watch Netflix all day long and eat pizza and ice cream and nachos. And, it's okay to have those days. It's perfectly fine. It's not going to be the end of the world. So it's, giving yourself grace. So that's my approach with people is, again, diving deep, finding out and trying different solutions, because what works for me might not work for you. So, it's not a quick, fix it all. It might take weeks or months or years, but as long as you're every single day recognizing where you're currently at and where you want to go, you're going to be moving forward. So my biggest thing is always remembering your why. why you're doing something. If you remember your why, then the how is going to be come more naturally and easily to you. So you always have to remember your why. So that's where I find with real estate investors, they're like, this is too hard, this sucks, this is too rough, I get all these no's, nobody wants to sell me their house. And I'll stop them right there. I'm like, what's your why? Why did you start in this in the very first place? And usually the reasons they want to create generational wealth for their kids and their family. They want to retire early. They want to get out of the rat race. They don't want to work for somebody else. They want to be able to travel the world and, have the financial means to do that, not be stuck in an office and somebody else dictating what their schedule and their life is like. I'm like, okay, cool. So next time you go out and you go knock on a house or you do a cold call and they cuss at you, yell at you, slam the door in your face, don't get upset, don't get defeated. Remember your why, and that's going to push you through. And I tell them too, when people slam the door in the face, tell you no, or you make a mistake, maybe you're partway through a deal and then all of a sudden it falls apart and it's done. Okay, that sucked, but that's a good lesson. So a lot of our attributes, our smarts come from the lessons that we learned. So I don't look at those as bad things. It's like, okay, what did I learn from this? And guarantee you probably are not going to repeat the same mistake going forward.
I love that so much. It's like, no matter what the outcome, you can get something out of this type of
100%.
mindset.
Absolutely.
And I also love what you were saying about taking the one step. It just kind of reminds me, like, as if I'm pulling out my driveway. It's like, don't think about getting to the freeway and the traffic there. Like, get to the end of the street. Okay, now get to the stop sign. Okay, now get to the corner store. All right, now you're out. Like, just focusing on those little steps instead of working ourselves up about what's to come is huge. I love
Exactly.
that so much. I know you've gone through a lot, as you shared with us here tonight. What is, if it was just one thing that you had to take away from the things you've endured, like what would that one thing or one lesson be?
The biggest lesson that I learned from all of this, gosh, that's a tough question. I have a lot of things that are coming to mind. Really, I like to be a pillar of strength for other people, and I absolutely believe in the domino effect. Again, for me, it's all about my kids because they're our future. They're our retirement plan. They're who's going to run the country when you and I go to retire. So my biggest thing is accepting what comes my way, no matter if it's good, bad, ugly, or somewhere in between. It is what it is. Embrace the suck. Find the good and the positive in that suck, and you'll be a happier, better person. And the happiness is really what it's all about. A lot of people are like, oh, I'm upset today. This person made me upset. It's like, no, you control yourself. You can control whether you're happy or not. So, my big thing, even on days, and this might sound corny, when I'm sad and down, I will force myself to smile. I can be by myself and I'm like, just doing that act of smiling just changes your endorphins automatically right around. So I guess in a nutshell, it's just embracing everything that comes towards you and be like, okay, I might not like this. So it was meant to be, and I'm gonna figure this out. I am figuring this out. And just think about the self-talk and how you can help other people through your experiences in life.
Yes, amen, sister. Because
Yeah.
that's what this podcast is all about. Our stories and our experiences are not for us to sit on, for us to dwell on, but for us to empower the next person. So
Absolutely.
speaking of empowerment, what are some empowering words, which you've already gave us a ton, but if you were to give a lady who is currently in a season of allowing her situation to take over her mindset, what would be your words of encouragement for her?
Um, I think it really, again, it goes back to the self-talk because we're with ourselves 24/7. There's no escaping ourselves. So, how you talk to yourself really plays. I can't express this enough. It impacts everything. So, I, to be fully transparent here, my oldest son, he was going through a tough time when he was in high school. It's like, okay, you're going through this tough time, and this is why I would tell any lady that's going through any struggles, it's recognize it, allow yourself to be sad about it, but then look at that and be like, okay, what are the lessons I'm learning right now? How is this going to impact me? How is this going to make me stronger? And not go through that again, that negative self-talk, put yourself down, because the more you say that over and over, you're going to believe it. And if you believe it, things in life are going to start happening to reflect that, right? So it's a law of attraction. You think negative, you attract negative. You think positive, you attract positive. So it can be hard, but again, nobody else can make you happy but you. Talk nice to yourself and think about positive things. I don't care what happened that day. Maybe somebody rear-ended you, you had to go home, you got fired, and you got home, your electricity's out, and all your food's bad in your fridge. Okay, that sucks. Now, where's the good in that? Find 10 good reasons that, or 10 good things that came from that bad stuff that happened from getting rear-ended. Maybe your car was about ready to die anyways, and now you're getting some money, you can get a new car. But just try to find the positive, and no matter how bad it is. So again, a long-winded answer to your question.
That's beautiful. Yes, yes, yes. I'm here for it. Kelly, thank you so much. You're just such a
Absolutely.
beautiful woman and so empowering and inspiring. And I am always, always, since I've met you, praying for a solution to your health. And it's just a joy to see like you push through no matter what.
Oh, thank you. Well, you mean the world to me too. If you want to include this on your podcast or not, but I still remember the very first day I met you up in Seattle at a real estate conference, and I wasn't doing well that day because of seizures and health, and laying on a bench outside there, and there's Mahogany sitting across from me. No idea who the heck you are. You come over, you sat down next to me, and I remember you put your hand on my leg and you said, "Can I pray for you?" You had no idea what was going on with me. You just felt compelled to come over and help a complete stranger. I'm like, yes, absolutely, you can pray for me. And that's where it started. We've been friends ever since. So I think that's absolutely, I'm getting goosebumps right now thinking about it. But I think God put you in my life for a reason. And again, I think everything happens for a reason. My health issues, maybe I had these health issues to have met you in Seattle. And then God spoke to you and said, go pray for her. And here we are today. Start your podcast, and I am so honored to be here and to be your friend. You're just an amazing, amazing, strong, beautiful woman. So thank you so much for being such a bright light in my life. You absolutely mean the world to me.
Oh, you're about to make me cry.
I'm tearing up too.
Thank you so much. Oh my God.
Of
Oh my
course.
God. I just wish I could hug you right now.
Me too.
So, Kelly, where can we find you online? Where are you posted up if anyone wants to find you?
Yeah, so I'm on mostly Instagram and Facebook. I have my handle on the screen here, if that's Instagram, at Full Circle PNW. Also on Facebook as well. I don't remember the name off the top of my head. I think it's Full
Full
Circle.
Circle.
Yeah, let me look here what my name is. Yeah, it's just Full Circle on Facebook, but we're on TikTok and YouTube. So you'll see a lot of my son on TikTok and YouTube. My 19-year-old, he's really getting into the game here. Did several deals this year, real estate deals. So you'll see a lot of him on those, but you'll see a lot of my face on Instagram and Facebook.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for being here. You are definitely a pillar in my life and a pillar here at Lean. And we just love you so much. And we're going to have you back on as a guest because you just fill us and fill our cups. So we really appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you. You're so sweet. I'm so honored to be here. Thank you so much. I absolutely adore you and love you to no end.
Oh my goodness. All right, guys. So it's got pretty touchy feely, but that's what you get here at the Lean Podcast. Thank you for tuning in.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to Lean. I hope today's episode left you feeling inspired, empowered, and ready to take on whatever challenges come your way. If this conversation resonated with you, make sure to subscribe so you'll never miss an episode. And don't forget to share it with someone who could use a little extra encouragement. The Lean Podcast thrives because of listeners like you. So let's continue to build this community. Drop a comment, leave a review, and let us know what topics you'd love to hear more about. And if you haven't yet, be sure to join our Facebook group, the Ladies Empowerment and Alignment Network, where the conversation and support continues every day. Until next time, keep leaning into growth, empowerment, and alignment. Thanks for being a part of the Lean community.